Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to the channel. My name is wAFF, and as you can tell, I'm very excited. I feel like a little boy again because of Halo. We recently just got to see a load of new campaign gameplay footage of Halo Infinite, and wow, it blew my head off. Like, I'm being honest with you, when I watched it, I actually nearly cried. I think I did shed a tear. I just felt like such a little kid. Like, the nostalgia was so overwhelming for me, and I also felt so happy and joyful because of how good this now looks. It just feels like they've nailed it. I feel like 343, with this delay that we made them to pretty much do, I feel like they've nailed it now, and I feel like the game looks incredible. It has some things that I'm a little bit worried about, but overall, I'm really excited about this game. I feel like it feels like Halo. Until I play it yet, I don't know, but it looks amazing. I'm really over the moon by what I've seen by it, and I wanted to go over a few things and just talk about what I really did enjoy. First of all, the world itself looks incredible. It looks amazing. The world seems so huge. It's massive. You can go anywhere, it seems. You can go so high. The verticality is so high. You can just call in a wAFF or call in any type of vehicle, which is something I never even realized you could do. You can call in vehicles and just fly about the Zeta Halo and just go and explore. And I find that so interesting because we haven't been able to do that yet in a Halo game. The original 3 Halo games kind of were, you know, for its time, felt like this. Back then, that felt like how this feels. But now looking back, it's so it's not even that big at all compared to any games now. But in that time, it was huge. And it feels now that really we're kind of getting the game that we could have always wished for with Halo, that we did get, but not realizing back then that games would be as big as they are now and what we can do in games. Now it feels like we're really getting a proper Halo game, where the original vision of Bungie and their Halo is now being realized with 343's Halo Infinite. It feels like we're really getting to explore the world of these Zeta rings, because the Zeta Halo rings are just so interesting. It's such an interesting concept that we have these like weapons, these machines that exist in space, that are a world, like a planet, but they're also like such a very dangerous weapon at the same time. And just the idea that we can explore these properly and go and just see what's going on in these worlds really excites me. Now, this game is taking place all on the Zeta Ring, it seems like, and the Banished have taken over. The Banished is run by this new character called ESCHARUM, who is like the leader of the Banished. The Banished are a mercenary organization and splinter faction that rebelled against the Covenant Empire and rose to power after the conclusion of the Human Covenant War. Whether or not there's going to be other factions included into this, because there is some questions around some of the characters that we've just been introduced to in this gameplay, some new characters which I will go into. But for now, it just seems to be that it's just the brutes that broke away. There's a faction of the brutes that broke away from the Covenant, and it's run by ESCHARUM. Now, ATRIOX hasn't been shown anywhere yet, so I don't know where ATRIOX is going to be, but ATRIOX was like the leader of the Banished, as I remember. It's hard to remember every single detail in Halo because there's been so many games and there's been so much story and lore, so I might be getting some of this wrong, but we haven't seen ATRIOX yet, and I hope that we do get to see something of ATRIOX because he's such a sick, badass character. Like, he's a hard character, so hard enemy, so I really hope we kind of get to see something to do with him. But nevertheless, we have ESCHARUM, and ESCHARUM seems like he is dark and evil, and he's going to be a hard fight to be up against, and I'm looking forward to just seeing some more of ESCHARUM and seeing exactly how the story pans out with him. Now, something that I'm really interested in is Master Chief looking for Cortana. Like, the fact that we now have Master Chief and Cortana, the story is solely focused on them two right now. For as far as I can tell, that really excites me, because now we're going back to what I feel like is Halo. What I love about Halo is Chief and Cortana. Cortana, following the events of Halo 5, she is actually now bad. Massive spoiler there for everyone who's not played Halo 5 and 4. Sorry about that. But anyway, Cortana is bad, and Chief is on a mission to try and find her, but we're now introduced to a new AI which takes on the form of Cortana, which is called the Weapon. Now, the weapon doesn't seem to understand what Cortana's done. She just knows that she's been programmed to help take Cortana down, but she doesn't understand why. So that's interesting, because that makes me think, well, why doesn't she know? Surely she's a sentient, intelligent AI. How doesn't she know what why she's doing the things she's doing? So that kind of makes me feel like maybe, I mean, who knows? This is me guessing. I'm coming up with random theories, but Cortana could have easily created the weapon to trick Chief into thinking that it's on his side. Who knows? But it's a cool little thought to think about. It probably isn't the case, but you know, who knows? Like, Cortana's so powerful. She's the most sentient, powerful, conscious AI in the whole universe. So like, she can do anything, I guess. I imagine she can do that. So it's just an interesting little theory I have. We also get to see Cortana is back to the Halo OG CE Cortana, where she is purple. She has got the same form as Halo CE. That brings a lot of nostalgia to me, and I'm buzzing about that. I just think that's a really cool touch. And also it differentiates the weapon and Cortana. So just, you know, the new people who are coming into Halo Infinite are gonna understand who is Cortana and who is a weapon, because they actually are the same voice actress and the same look. So they're going to have to do something that makes them different. But I'm just glad that they brought it back to the original OG Halo Cortana. We also have these new enemy types that are introduced to us called the Skimmers. We don't know exactly what faction they're from yet, but they're new enemy types, which makes me believe that there's going to be more introduced. We definitely get shown here on this gameplay 2 huge reveals of enemy types. We get this one here, which excites me probably the most, because he's a part of the Covenant, and I always used to love the Arbiter. The Arbiter was one of my favorite parts of Halo, and we haven't got to see anything of the Arbiter yet. So I just feel like I'm glad that we have this new character, and he is evil, dark enemy called Jaeger Adomni. I think they even say that he is like satanic or sadistic. That's it. Sadistic, they call him. So like, I'm very interested as to why they would label him as that. I hope that he's just really, really fucked up. Not fucked up, but like in a way that he's just like evil, and he's just so dangerous. And I really want him to be like a challenge. Like, something that I really would like to see of him is like in God of War, when Kratos goes up against Baldur. Baldur is another god, and he is just so difficult to fight because he has no pain. He doesn't feel pain. He's just solid. So you can't really beat him. He's like invincible. He just keeps coming up in the game, and you have to go against him multiple times, and it's so difficult to beat him. Like, he's just so hard, and I really want them to do that with Jaeger Adomni. If they can do that with Jaeger Adomni and just make him like a really difficult enemy that you come up against here and there, and you never really get to kill him until at the end, or maybe you never get to kill him. It'd be just interesting to just kind of have this enemy who, you know, because they're going to do more Halo games, so it'd be good to keep some of these enemies going for a while and not just kill them off in every game and then you bring out another one. I kind of like it when they make these enemies last a long time, over maybe 2 or 3 games, and they become like this really known character that you look forward to being up against. I really hope they kind of do something like that with Jaeger Adomni, but he looked badass. His armor, his energy sword, his shield, he just seems like a really, really like hard enemy, and I just can't wait to be up against him and just see what his story is. We also get a new enemy called the Harbinger. The Harbinger is a mystery right now. The Halo community doesn't really necessarily know who the Harbinger is or where she is from. People are saying, is she a Forerunner? People are saying, is she part of the Banished? Is she a precursor? I think it's a precursor. Well, I don't think she is, but there's questions around who is she? Is she any of these? And I don't think there's really any information yet on her, but good, leave it as a mystery. I want to find that out whilst I'm playing the game. Don't just say who she is, because it'll just annoy me that there's already so many things that are just coming out that I'm like, it's a bit too much of information here. I want to just play the game and just find it out myself. I really hope that she isn't just like one of the... she's clearly going to be one of the main enemies, but I want them to keep some secrets. I hope that this isn't just like, okay, there you go, Jaeger Adomni, there you go, the Harbinger, there you go, ESCHARUM, they're your 3 main enemies, you now know all of it, so enjoy the game. I want to play the game and I want to come across these people like, whoa, shit, like, I did not expect that. I always do go back to get God of War, because God of War did that loads There was so many enemies in that game that I just didn't even expect to be up against. Dragons, gods, it was just non-stop of like, wow, we're playing this, we're fighting this, how are we gonna beat this? I want to kind of have that thrill in Halo Infinite, and I kind of think we will do, but just I hope they do save some secrets, please, at least. We also do have some like mini boss fights. Like here we have a brute called Tremonius. Who knows who Tremonius is? I'm interested in, well, what I would like to see from this is, if we're going to get like loads of different miniature boss fights, good, that's great. But I hope that they aren't just suddenly you can walk through one room, you take out a load of brutes, and then there's just one of them is the boss, and they have a health bar. They tell you the name, Tremonius, for example, because that's the only one we know right now. But I really hope that there is like more of a story behind these enemy types and these boss fights. Maybe some of the side quests that you go on. The side quest is obviously off the campaign story. So you go and pick a different side quest, and this side quest has a really deep story, and these side quests don't just feel like little chores and little missions. I want them to feel like little miniature storylines that you can go and be invested in. And then maybe you come across a base, a banished base, right? And you have to take out all these different brutes and all these different covenant, and you know, you're just going through this base and you're going underground or whatever it is, wherever it takes place. But maybe in these certain areas there's a storyline that's driving you through it, and it's kind of based around that you have to take out one of the chiefs, or like, you know, the captains or the leaders or whatever you want to call them, and they are these boss fights like Tremonius, and they have a bit of a story to them. There's a bit of lore about them and a background to them, and a reason as to why you're doing this side mission is because you need to go take out this captain to find out more information as to where to find ESCHARUM, or where to find Jaeger Adomni or whoever, and just make it a more interesting point to fight these boss fights, and to give them a name, and to give them that moment of it being a boss fight. Who are they? I want to know more about it, and I really hope that 343 do that, and I actually think they will. Well, I'm hoping they will, but please do it. So the one thing that I'm a little bit unsure about with this is it seems to be that you have to take out a lot of bases. We've done this loads. Far Cry does it non-stop. Far Cry is basically go and take out everyone in this base so that your team, your crew can move in, and your military, whatever, can move into this base, and then you've unlocked it. Now you've unlocked a fast travel place. Like, I don't want it to be that. Like, I don't mind it to a point, but please don't make Halo Infinite like Far Cry, because it's just been too much of it. Like, we've had too much of that same type of open worldness. Take out a base, rule the base, open up a fast travel location, blah blah blah. I'm not bothered, and there is kind of a bit of that in this trailer, this gameplay footage that we've seen. We see that Chief has to take out all these towers for whatever reason, which cool, it looks fun. There's a big enough and interesting sandbox for us to have a really good time with this, but I just hope that it isn't just that we have to do this all the time. And yeah, that's just one of the downfalls to what I felt whilst I was watching this. Something though that is interesting is that the new map that we get to see is different, it's upgraded, there's all these different things that we can look at, but we're also, as you can see on this map here, this is a completely new region, well, an area to what we've seen in the last year's gameplay demo where we got to see that map. It's a different area. This could be, you know, part of just a whole one big map, or what I think could be the case is maybe we actually get to go and explore all different parts of the Zeta Ring, and we get to go and see different areas, and I don't know, you land in your Pelican and you go and you have to take out all of these different bases, all these different missions, different campaign missions, free all your different Marines that are in these areas, do all these different side missions, take out all these mini bosses, find out more of the story, find out more of the lore, find all these different unexplored places that reveals parts of the lore of the world, of the Zeta Halo, or just what's going on in the universe. And then once you've took over that region, you get back in your Pelican, you blow that region up, or you take over it, however it is, and then you move on to another part of the Zeta Ring. I feel like that's kind of maybe where they're going to go, because it isn't fully open world, so that makes me think, well, if it's semi-open world, and this map is a different area to the last map we've seen, we also can see down in the bottom left here that there's all these different icons, and like, for example, there's two skulls that you can find specifically in this area. That's not many. So there's not many things that you can find in this area alone. So there's going to be more than just 2 skulls to find. So that makes me feel like this is just in this region, if that makes sense. And then you'll move on to another region. I like that. I think that that's a really, really cool thing. Something that I really, really want to happen as well, because right now on the screen, what you're looking at is something that blew my head off. This got me so excited when I watched it. I was like, no fucking way! Yay! Just the fact that Chief jumps in a Banshee, he goes so high and jumps out, then blows up another Banshee with a skewer, then grapples onto the other Banshee, and I don't know what happens there at that point, but just this scene alone got me so excited for what we're going to be able to do in this world. And if you just notice and look down, you can actually see space from this high. You can see space, so that really excites me, because we've never really got to see this. We've never got to be on a Zeta ring and look over the edge and see that we're actually just floating in space. Like that is really, really exciting for me. Something that I would love to be able to see in this game is that, imagine if you get a Banshee, or you can get a Pelican, or a Wasp, any of the vehicles, and you can fly off the Zeta ring and you can go round it. You can fly right round the whole perimeter and the outside and go around the complete opposite side of the Zeta ring, and you're actually just flying in space, but you can see from a distance the Zeta Halo ring, and you can go and fly and just land back on the ring wherever you please. That would be incredible. Like, for a game this size that's cost 500 million supposedly, which is $500 million. Obviously, you know that, but when you say that, it makes it even more of a thing. $500 million to make a game, and it's Xbox's, Microsoft's biggest franchise. It's Halo. It's one of the biggest IPs ever. Like, surely you would think, okay, right, we're creating this Halo ring. You can fall off it. They've said you can fall off it, so you can clearly fall into space. Can you fly around it? But they're probably not going to let you do it. You're probably going to fly out, and it's going to say, you're leaving the combat zone, please enter, and give you a countdown timer. And if you don't fly back into the combat zone within 5 seconds, you die, and then you respawn again, which is the thing that I just hope they don't do, but they're definitely going to do it, because every game does it. What I also really like is it feels like, I actually think I did read this somewhere. I feel like they're going to do the one-shot type of gameplay, where you're playing throughout the game, and then when it comes to a cutscene, it doesn't cut and change. It kind of comes out of Chief's helmet and comes behind him, and then it starts panning round, and you know, it's like one shot, like God of War. The God of War is just all one. It's like just one whole shot. The whole thing feels like it's just one thing. It doesn't stop. It doesn't cut off. And it seems that they're doing that with this. Maybe it's not fully like that, but from what I've seen, I'm kind of gathering it is like that, and I think that's really cool. Like this moment here where we jump off the Pelican as Chief, you know, you see him jump off, but then the camera goes straight into his helmet, then you land, you play as Chief. That's it. It goes straight from there to there. Now, this next part here, as you can see, where the Brute rips off this door. This scene is so cool, by the way. But where the Brute rips off the door and he throws it, and it flies past Chief, and Chief looks at it and he's like, did you just throw that at me? And then the camera just follows through with that and falls back into Chief's helmet, and then all of a sudden this Brute starts charging and screaming at you. I thought that was sick. Like, I loved it. That little corridor as well, like the Banished corridor, the red lights, and the Brute charging at you. I love that. I do feel like Chief beat him too quick, though. That felt like a really sick entrance to a boss fight, but it doesn't seem like a boss fight because Chief literally just smacks him, melees him, and he's dead. I don't like that. I feel like they should make it harder. Like that Brute is so huge. I get it. Chief is the boss. You know, you don't mess with Chief. He can punch the shit out of you in one punch and knock your head off. I get it. But these Brutes are huge. They're covered in massive metal armor. They're bigger than Chief. He's charging at you. I want to see maybe like some cinematic takedown where it, you know, he's challenged. I want to see Chief challenged. It makes these moments way more fun and interesting and epic. So I really would like to see a bit more of that, and not just Chief elbows him and he's down on the ground, that's it, move on. But we're gonna have to wait and see till the game comes out. But yeah, it feels like, you know, like I said before, there's gonna be boss fights, so maybe they make these boss fights a bit more epic with the cinematics around it. So yeah. That also leads me to the Hunters. We get to see Hunters again, which I'm buzzing about. I do want them to be bigger, and I do want the Hunters to be a lot more challenging. They've always been really easy to defeat because as people know who play Halo, you just dodge out the way of them when they try and swing for you. You go behind them, you shoot the back because the back's exposed, or you shoot the neck. You can take them down pretty easily, and they're massive. They should be bigger, and they should be harder and scarier. And I feel like 343 should really take advantage of that now. Now with it being 2021, next-gen consoles, everything we've learned from previous games, and everything we've learned from all other games, just take a note out of all these other games' books and make these enemies solid and just like good challenge. Just make it difficult and rewarding to kill them. I just hope they do that, especially with the hunters, because the hunters, you never really come across them that much. It's like once or twice in the gameplay playthrough, and I want them to be hard. So yeah, that's just another thing that I'd really like to see. Something else that's really cool that we've never ever had in a Halo game is this skill tree like upgrade system. Well, it's not the skill tree really, this part. I hope that there is a skill tree, but I don't think that there is. I think this is more about upgrading your equipment, which is cool, and I'm really happy about that. I would like to see more than just this, but I am happy that we have this anyway. As you see, we have the grapple shot, we have the shield core, the threat sensor, the drop wall, and the thruster. Maybe there's more things, but so far this is all we get to see. And there's like 3 or 4 different upgrades that we can do for each equipment slot, which is cool, but I do want more. I just naturally just want more. We already got to see with the grapple shot that we can do a shock. We can add a shock, like electricity shock to it. So that's a cool thing, and there's going to be more stuff we can do that they haven't shown. They haven't obviously shown everything yet, so I'm interested to see more of this, and I think that it's a really cool thing that they've introduced this, because we've never had that in Halo, and it does make gameplay a lot more enjoyable. It would be really, really sick if we can actually upgrade Chief's armor, and we can just add more stuff to his armor, but I don't know if they will do that, because Chief's armor is just such a iconic look. You know, Chief looks a certain way, so to just change his appearance, I don't think they will do that. But yeah, I would like to see some sort of customization to Chief's armor. That would be really, really cool. And to the guns, if we could get new skins for the guns whilst we're playing, and find charms and just different unlocks, different things to unlock for the guns, would be really, really cool to look at and see and have in the game. But we haven't seen that yet, so that makes me think maybe we don't get that. We haven't got to see anything to do with the Arbiter. Now, I love the Arbiter. I loved him. I just think he's a great character and a great addition to Halo. And I loved it when we got to play as him in Halo 2. Now, nothing's been said about him yet. Maybe we won't get to see him, but it would be cool. Imagine if, I don't know, a Master Chief's going up against the Harbinger, and the Harbinger's really getting the better of you, and at some moment, there's like a last minute thing, like when Gandalf comes in the end of the 2 towers, and he just saves the day. That for me was just so sick. Imagine if like we're up against the Harbinger and we're about to get our ass kicked, and there's like a really life-threatening moment for Chief, and all of a sudden the Arbiter arrives and just helps you out. That would be such a sick moment. You don't need to have too much of the Arbiter, but that would be a really cool thing just to have him there. Like that would really make it would make me really happy. But someone did mention this, and I think that this would also be great. Like imagine like a DLC, and you get to play as the Arbiter. You just get to go and play his story for a DLC. That would be sick. So anything to do with that, I'm down for any of it. Just give me something to do with the Arbiter. I'll be a happy boy. But all in all, guys, this game looks incredible. I'm so happy for it. Like I'm just really, really happy. It did make me emotional when I watched it. It made me more emotional watching other Halo fans react to it, because seeing how they react made me feel happy for them, because I know how it feels, because I feel the same way. And I am really passionate about Halo, and I feel like 343 have understood the mistakes they made with Halo 4 and especially 5. But yeah, I feel like they've understood the mistakes, and they've realized what the fans want. They also need to make it approachable for newcomers as well. They need a new fan base coming into it, because the fan base isn't as big as it used to be as Halo. And there's all these new games now. There's Call of Duty, there's Warzone, there's all these massive games that people love. They need to create a bigger and a newer fan base, so they need to make it interesting for newcomers as well, so they don't need to always just please the fan base, the OG fan base. I can't say anything. They don't need to make it all just for people like me. But I want some really good throwbacks and some fanboy shit thrown in there, and it looks like we're getting it. So I couldn't be happier. Like, I just couldn't be happier. Look, this looks amazing. Like the draw distance that you can now see, the detail on the mountains far away, the valley, like the different environments, the animals that are now, like the wildlife that have been introduced, like there's so many more things. The vast scale of it is just so grand that I just can't wait. It feels epic, and Halo is epic. And we have Master Chief and Cortana, and we have this new brutal guy called ESCHARUM, he looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. We have all these different enemy types, Jaeger Redomni, the Harbinger. Like, I'm just really, really excited for it. It looks like it's set up to be a really, really sick Halo game. So for me, I'm buzzing. But anyways, guys, please let me know down in the comments what you think about this game. Like, are you excited for Halo Infinite? Is this something that you've been looking forward to? Like, are you as excited as I am? Or is there things here that you think don't look good and things that I've missed that you would like to talk about? I'd love to know what your thoughts are down below. And also, if you enjoyed this video, then please drop me a like. That would be amazing for me. And if you want to stay updated with my content, please hit the subscribe button. But as always, thank you again for watching, guys, and I'll be seeing you next time on wAFFwORLD.